So it starts off with "You got a girlfriend," which I was going to say very casually, as if just starting a normal conversation. This kind of build-up will make, when he starts talking about more horrific things, more shocking, as it starts off so casual and normal. I have Cole, fucking beautiful. So we want to emphasise each word separately, as he's really showing off and kind of imagining Cole in his mind at this, even at that point. Then close your eyes and think about her. She's, and this is kind of, it creates an almost romantic image, as he's just imagining his girlfriend, and being kind of showing how much he thinks about her and how much he wants to think about her, which is then suddenly shattered when he said, "When was the last time you?" And this romantic image is just broken, and when the last time he was very much insinuating, very much kind of laddie, amused, asking when was the last time he had sex, and that kind of again breaks that romantic image, as he kind of finds this sex as something to be proud of, and something amusing. So he kind of laughs here, says it, and it says, "I know it was recent," and then I want to breathe in as if smelling, which kind of and then before he's saying "I smell it," which kind of comes across as creepy and almost sinister, which kind of foreshadows it's about to go into something, well that the soldier's kind of unhinged and that is about to go into something more sinister. There is a brief pause when he's waiting for, so I want to do a pause here, when waiting for Ian to answer. When he doesn't, George begins I think want to show off, so he smiles and starts showing off to him, the three of us, and about to tell a very interesting story, and still keep it kind of casual, like he's telling a story that isn't nearly as horrific as this one. This will be more shocking when he begins to talk about the more horrific story. This next bit wanted to be very, from went to the house just outside town, all gone apart from one small boy in the corner. One of the others took him outside, laid him on the ground and shot him through the legs. So this bit I want to be very casual, as if this boy isn't important at all, which is going to be very more shocking to the audience, because he's just talking about killing someone, and this poor boy, which the word boy insinuates a young child, being killed so casually, it's very shocking for the audience, which again adheres to this in-your-face style. So heard crying in the basement, went down, 3 men and 4 women. So talking about this bit, I want him to smile, and as if he's hit the jackpot, and he's kind of showing off this point, and he's kind of egging Ian to kind of join his feelings towards finding these 3 men and 4 women, and expecting Ian to also share in his happiness at finding them and proud of finding them, which kind of comes across as sinister. So they called to the others. They held the men while I fucked the women. So we want to emphasise the word fucked, because this is the point. This is the word that he's really showing off on, which and showing how amused he is and how kind of the pride he feels at getting laid, which again will come off shocking. Especially even the very explicit language that the soldier is using will come off shocking for the audience. So the youngest was 12. I want to say this line very kind of casually, just kind of as he was remembering, the youngest was probably 12. So he's kind of making out like it's not really a big deal, which is shocking for the audience because this child is so young and this soldier's raped her. So they didn't cry, just lay there. I want to say as if the soldier's very lucky and he's happy that this happened. And then the bit where it says he turned her over, I want to say kind of savouring it, the words, and savouring the memory, which will come across very sinister, especially when applied to a 12-year-old girl, which will feel very uncomfortable for the audience. And they will feel very disgusted by it. Then she cried. I want this to come off almost disappointed, which will be kind of disgusted. Well, the audience will be disgusted because talking about this 12-year-old girl, and she's crying because she's just been raped, and this soldier is disappointed that she has broken down like this. So then he just quickly, and then I want to quickly move on from this point, as he then wants to focus on the made her lick me clean. And I want to lengthen the word lick to really put emphasis on it, as this is the bit that he's showing off. And this is also very like an explicit, brutal image that will be very disgusting and shocking for the audience. Then moves on to go in the closed my eyes and thought of, which kind of, it feels like there's like a contrast, because it's gone back to that, what he was talking about earlier about Cole, when he was imagining and closing his eyes and talking about Cole, which back to that romantic image, which can feel very, which again will be a bit of a shock, because it's gone from this very brutal, visceral image of him raping a 12-year-old, and then gone back to that casual, romantic kind of image that he was creating earlier in the speech. He then suddenly, I think there needs to be like a wait where he's just closing his eyes and listening, and then just so the audience can feel uncomfortable in this moment. And then this is then broken and shattered by shot her father in the mouth. So this romantic image again shattered suddenly. Well, this more, because now this time this romantic is very uncomfortable and sinister. It's very shattered suddenly. And when he says shot her father in the mouth, I want that to come across very amused and casual, as if he's kind of proud of this fact that he's done this, and like taken. And this could be again very shocking, as it's just taking this man's life, like as not as an unessential, as something to be proud of for killing someone. The brothers shouted, and again hung them up from the ceiling by their testicles, which is a very, again, brutal, visceral image. And I want to say this kind of smile, amused, showing off, feeling proud of doing this, thinking himself comedic for doing this, and I want him to kind of get the audience and trying to get Ian to feel, to understand the comedy of hanging them from the from the ceiling by the testicles, and feeling proud of himself of his power for being able to do that. And this is it feels very, very uncomfortable, because he's me as a soldier trying to get across it as comedic. However, it is a very brutal image, and especially after just their sister, 12-year-old, being raped and her father being shot, it becomes a very uncomfortable that the soldier should be finding this comedic and taking this so lightly. So then it moves on to the last line, which will be very, I want to come across very sinister, never done that. So I want it to come across amused and almost like he's proud of himself, and he's kind of showing off to Ian, and he's like almost mocking Ian for not having that kind of disregard for life, and mocking him for not doing something like that, and this coming off very, very sinister. And again, this will be very shocking for the audience, that the soldier will think that this is something to be mocked, that someone has more morals than to do something like this horrific story. And it will make them feel very uncomfortable, because I want to lean in at this point and very much stare out at the audience and make them feel uncomfortable on this last line.